Hey guys, Tim Miller from the Bulwark here with my buddy, managing editor Sam Stein. And there's an interview tonight. Sean Hannity did an interview with the president, Donald Trump, the co-president, Elon Musk. They were all together in the room. I didn't actually watch it. I was prepping for tomorrow's pod. We have a deep dive on cryptocurrency tomorrow.
Good,
so I'm trying
good.
to learn about what's
You
going
want to talk
on.
about what's going on in Argentina?
Yeah, we're gonna do Millet. We're gonna do the ICOs. So I had to learn about that. We're also doing a deep dive on Live Golf Tour. I've got so much for you guys on our creeping fascism and the corruption around Donald Trump that I couldn't watch what I assume was a really hardball interview with a lot of breaking news. So I'm here to kind of react live as Sam tells me what I missed.
Well, first of all, subscribe to the feed. Secondly, it's very generous to call this an interview.
Oh, really?
It was a tongue bath. It was a classic Hannity tongue bath.
Handy.
Yeah.
Handy.
It was pretty good, Tim. I wouldn't go there, but
I didn't watch the interview, so I got to bring something to this analysis.
Yeah, good hand job jokes.
Yeah.
To it. No, it was horrible. I mean, well, I don't want to say horrible. There's plenty of horrible things. It was really. I actually admire Hannity, and because it does take its unique ability to sit down with the world's richest dude who's creating utter chaos all over this planet, and the president of the United States who is facilitating it, to have them there in front of you for an hour and make absolutely no news from your interview with them. It takes a special talent, and he possesses that. He is the ultimate at softball news because he loves these guys and he wants to be part of their administration and sort of informally part of the administration.
All right, so let me. So I guess I know plenty of topics they could have gone over. Did they cover the firing of the disabled Army veteran who was working at the VA hospital? Did that get covered? No.
No.
Okay, what about the firing of the nuclear safety staff? Firing of the FAA officials? Did that get covered? How about the firing of the food safety people? They're supposed to be overseeing the bird flu, firing and unfiring of them.
No.
That get covered?
No. You want to keep going? I think.
What about Donald Trump saying that Zelensky was wearing too short of a skirt, and so it was his fault that Ukraine got invaded?
No, there was, to give you a sense of what it was like. There was like a 3-minute section. I was just trying to follow because it was so confusing. Where Hannity kept going on to Elon about, he's like, you've done all these great things. You started all these great companies. You're sending people to Mars. You're putting chips in people's brains to make paralyzed people walk and think again, and you did all this. You helped us, launch Tesla and all these great cars, and you're so incredible. And then the question was, you'd think liberals would love you.
I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left,
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these days.
He killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really didn't.
Well, I mean,
it's like, why are they there?
You wouldn't think liberals would love him if you read what he says about liberals, right? Like, again, why don't liberals like the 2017 version of you, Elon Musk?
Think what Elon's response was. He's like, yeah, it's weird. Why don't they love me? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't know. There's maybe like 5 years of evidence in between, but yeah. And I think the most interesting thing, honestly, was kind of the dynamic between Trump and Musk, because for a while Trump kind of just sat there as Musk was speaking. You don't normally see that with Donald Trump. I'm not saying he was perturbed by it or anything. He didn't come off that way, but it was just sort of a weird dynamic where
who seems like they're in charge. Who seems like
that's the thing. It's like, if you watched it, you would say, well, Trump's in charge, but Elon's got a little bit more pizzazz and energy and authority, and Elon was sitting there trying to figure out when to jump in, and he obviously was aware that he doesn't want to be seen. I mean, they did spend the first portion of the interview was spent going. Hannity was like, people are trying to pitch you two against each other, and say that he's the shadow president. And they were like, we're on to them. We're so much smarter than they are. We know that they're trying to do that. So but that just only reinforced the fact that there was this weird tension going on. Like, you don't need to say it if it's not a problem. But that was sort of the tenor of the interview. Is like, here are these two guys. And where's JD Vance?
Where was it even? I did see one clip on social media where Trump is like talking about how he wanted to find somebody smarter than Elon.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't.
You're the richest man in the world. You may not like that part. You're pretty competitive.
It's neither here nor there.
I've known you a long time. But
that's why.
But he's on your team.
President.
Well, that's true. He can't top that.
He's good. You know, I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. I couldn't.
Well, that was because the preface of the question was Sean Hannity pointed out that Elon was richer than Trump, and then Hannity, clearly sensing that he might have stepped in it, was like, "I know that that doesn't make you happy, but and he's just sort of stumbling, and then Trump kind of came back and was like, "Well, I tried to find something smarter, and I couldn't." And I was like, "Well, what are you guys talking about? Like, we just wasted like an hour. I wasted like a minute and a half just doing this weird dance,
So did they cover anything of substance? It looked like there was some discussion of Social Security,
right? So
touched,
if you had to pull, if you had to pull some news threads out of it, and trust me, it was hard. I mean, I was talking with another reporter, and they compared it to like, I think like having conversations with your dog, basically. Yeah, it was like you're not really.
Who's the dog? Hannity. Hannity interviewed him like a dog.
Pretty much. There's two things that were of interest. One was on the interview, and one was during the commercial, for news value purposes. The first was Trump was there. Hannity's like setting up again, classic Sean Hannity thing where he basically tries to lead Trump to water. He's like, they're saying you're going to cut all this stuff. You're not really going to cut like Social Security, right? Like they're going to accuse you that, but you're not going to do it. Just tell them you're not going to do it. And Trump's like, no, of course not. We're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare. And then he added Medicaid, which they are.
He did.
Touch. Yeah.
Social Security won't be touched other than if there's fraud or something. We're going to find it's going to be strengthened, but won't be touched. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
You don't have to.
Yeah. And they are going to touch it. I mean, that is the House Republican blueprint. I mean, a lot of their money is through Medicaid cuts. So, these guys tend to get away with these lies. So I'm not like gonna, think too much about it. But that is
interesting, though. I think that the Medicaid debate is actually going to be pretty challenging. You've even seen Steve Bannon out there saying he doesn't know they should do as much on Medicaid. Well, there are a lot of Trump voters on Medicaid.
Yeah, people don't get it. People don't really appreciate Medicaid. Everyone, the perception of Medicaid is for poor Black and Hispanic people. That's just not true. There's tons of rural white, poor white people, including in very red states, who are on Medicaid. And Steve Bannon is not wrong about that. Let's just put it that way. All right,
Look at the Medicaid numbers right here. Louisiana's like towards the top of the list. We're in like the top 2 or 3.
Oh yeah.
We've got the worst governor in the country, and Trump won here by like 40 points. So.
Well, it's the whole "what's the matter with Kansas" adage, but whatever. The second newsy thing, again, nothing to do with Hannity, who really couldn't, care less about news, came during one of the commercial breaks, where suddenly the government of Ontario had put up an ad about how great Ontario is and what a remarkable ally Ontario is to the United States.
Ontario is your third largest trading partner and the #1 export destination for 17 states.
And I was watching, I was like, that's an interesting ad. And Ontario seems really lovely. But why are they running it? And then it occurred to me, they're banking on the fact that Donald Trump is watching his own interview with Elon Musk and Sean Hannity, and that he's going to see that ad and be like, oh man, Ontario maybe isn't that bad, and maybe I should rethink these tariffs, because Ontario seems pretty nice in that ad. Like, that's where we're at. So I thought that was kind of newsy.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Come on.
There was one element of it. Our colleague Andrew Egger pointed this out in Slack. So I did watch one. He's back from paternity leave. I did watch one clip. I lied earlier when I said I didn't watch any, and it was Elon talking. Let's just all watch it together.
Why are they reacting like this?
Well, first of all, do you give it flying rip? Number one, and
well, I guess we must be over the target or doing something right. If they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful. I think. What all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet.
Now, I don't think this is a news flash probably to you, Sam, but it doesn't seem like Elon really understands how the American constitutional democracy works.
I thought about that too. I was like, he doesn't really quite get it.
He doesn't quite get it. Like, this is not a direct democracy situation where you vote for one single man and then their will and their whims reflect the wills of the entire people. There are a lot of checks and balances, a lot of different. We have governors in various states. There are two actually bodies in Congress. I heard some rumors he didn't know that until recently. There's a House and a Senate. They all get elected. They all have their interests. And so, yeah, it's not just like soft dictator gets to say, call it the Gulf of America, and then that is the law now. That's not actually how democracy, or at least our democratic republic, works.
No, yeah, and if Hannity had a pulse at that moment, he could have pointed it out. He might have even said, like, look, well, that's interesting. Like, what happens in, like, a situation like 2016 where Trump wins, but he doesn't get the most votes? Like, does he have to implement Hillary's agenda? Like, what's the deal in that one? But Hannity just was like, yeah.
Edgar pointed out, for those of us like me and Andrew who suffered our whole lives through going to Republican rubber chicken dinners, you know, having to listen to these fuckers talk about how it's a republic. We are a republic, not a democracy. And if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I could buy a few Trump coins. Let me tell you something. But you're not hearing a lot of that from the Hill.
No, I would get the Trump coins, not the Malay coins. You know, the Libra or whatever they call it. Yeah, I don't want those. No, the whole thing was pointless. You didn't really miss anything, but it does go to show you that, you know, it's just these guys who have all this access to Trump. I mean, the reason they got the access is because they're just sycophants, and they don't actually. I mean, Hannity doesn't even pretend to be a news guy, so I shouldn't criticize him too much, but. You have that type of a platform, you have that type of access, you should do something with it. And he didn't. And that sucks.
Your expectations for Sean.
I know, right?
I don't even know what to say to you. Speechless. Sam, Mr. Hannity, sir, if you're watching, Sam Stein is very disappointed in you as a journalist. He had bigger expectations. And, sir, do better. Can I just say to you, do better, Mr.
Next
Hannity.
time he says it's a direct democracy. I don't really give a shit.
Thank you, Sam Stein. Everybody else subscribe to the feed. I already told you, we've got so much good shit coming tomorrow. So stick around, tell your friends. We'll see you soon. Peace.